Raider Nation, what's up? Welcome back to the heart of the Silver and Black, your home for everything Las Vegas Raiders. Today, excitement is in the air because we're heading into Day 3 of the NFL Draft. And trust me, there's still a lot on the table for the Raiders to grab. We've already seen some action. Ashton Jeanty, the powerful running back from Boise State, kicked things off in round 1. Then we added some serious speed with Jack Beck, wide receiver from TCU, at pick 58. Our defense got stronger when we picked up Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State, at pick 68. On the offensive line, Caleb Rogers from Texas Tech and Charles Grant from William & Mary are now part of the Raider family. But guess what? The job's far from over. Today, we have picks at 108 and 135 in the 4th round. Those extra moves from trades with the Texans and Dolphins are already paying off. We don't have a 5th rounder anymore, traded to Miami. But no worries, we're still locked and loaded with 3 picks in the 6th round and 1 more in the 7th. That's 7 more chances to find the next Raiders superstar. Quick break. Before we dive into the latest moves and targets for the Raiders, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like and smash that bell icon so you never miss any breaking news from Raider Nation. Alright, let's jump right back in. Now, I know a lot of you are already typing Shedeur Sanders in the comments, but I want to hear from you. Who do you want the Raiders to draft today? We've got rounds 4, 6, and 7 coming up, and maybe even a chance to trade up into round 5 if someone special is still available. Could it be a quarterback? Could it be a game-changing defender? Only time will tell. First, let's check out the biggest draft needs the Raiders should be targeting today. Alright, Raider Nation, let's keep it rolling. When we talk about the biggest needs for the Raiders heading into the rest of the draft, linebacker stands out big time. Now, I'm not ranking these needs in any special order. But linebacker? Yeah, it's definitely right up there. The Raiders have met with quite a few linebackers during the pre-draft process, at the Combine, on top 30 visits, and pro days. And that usually gives us a hint about who's on their radar. One name that pops up? Danny Stutzman, a strong, hard-hitting linebacker that fits the Raiders' tough style. Another guy worth watching is Barrett Carter. He's quick, smart, and can cover a lot of ground. Something the Raiders could really use alongside hitters like Elandon Roberts and Devin White. Don't forget about Jeffrey Bassa, another exciting linebacker option. And if you want a real sleeper pick, keep an eye on Chris Paul Jr., not the basketball player. We're talking about the linebacker from Ole Miss. Chris Paul Jr. brings serious speed and energy to the field. He's not the biggest guy out there, but he reads plays fast, closes in quickly, and isn't afraid to fly around and make tackles. Yes, there are concerns about his size and pure power, but for a team needing a coverage linebacker to balance out the heavy hitters, Chris Paul could be a sneaky good pick, especially in round 4. Out of all the linebackers mentioned, Chris Paul Jr. might offer the best value. Fast, athletic, and ready to make plays. But linebacker isn't the only spot the Raiders need to sharpen up. Let's talk about the next big area, safety. And when I say safety, I mean free safety, not strong safety. At strong safety, the Raiders are sitting pretty. Jeremy Chinn is ready to rock that Cam Chancellor-style role, playing some linebacker too, and the team is high on Isaiah Pola-Mao as well. Still, there's a little concern. Is Pola-Mao really ready to take over as a true free safety in the NFL? That's a huge question, and one the Raiders might want to answer with a draft pick today. Now, Raider Nation, let's be real for a second. Finding a true free safety in this draft isn't easy. The list is short, and the talent pool isn't as deep as we'd like. One name that stands out? Billy Bowman. The Raiders had early meetings with him, and he's definitely on the radar. Another familiar name is Landon Akers, mainly because of his past connection with Chip Kelly. Even though Kelly coached offense, having that familiarity helps. But if I had to put my money on one guy the Raiders might target? Malachi Moore. Remember that name. The Raiders have met with Malachi Moore multiple times this offseason, and that's no accident. If there's one pattern we've seen with this front office, it's that when they meet with a player over and over, they usually end up picking him. It happened with Ashton Jeanty. It happened with Darian Porter. It happened with Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers. Malachi Moore, the hybrid defensive back from Alabama, fits perfectly into what the Raiders need right now. He's got that nickel corner ability, a sharp football mind, and the versatility to slide between positions. Sure, he's not the biggest hitter out there, but his awareness and instinct make him dangerous. The Raiders need help at nickel corner, badly, and Malachi Moore could be the answer. If you're looking for comparisons, he's not exactly Earl Thomas, and honestly, Earl's been making headlines for the wrong reasons lately, but Moore brings a similar smart, flexible style that could make a real difference in our secondary. Now, shifting gears, another key position the Raiders should focus on today is defensive tackle. Specifically, they're hunting for a true nose tackle, a big body to plug the middle and shut down the run. And there's one name I can't stop thinking about: Yahya Black. Now, Raider Nation, let's talk big. Literally, the Raiders are on the hunt for a massive body in the middle of that defensive line. One name buzzing around: Yahya Black, a defensive tackle out of Iowa. The Raiders have already shown serious interest in him, and it's easy to see why. This guy is a true space eater, exactly the kind of anchor you want lined up next to monsters like Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby. You don't need him to rack up sacks. You just need him to clog running lanes, eat up double teams, and keep the linebackers clean. And Black is built for that job. Sure, he's not a flashy pass rusher, but that's not what the Raiders are asking for. They want toughness, they want size, and they want someone who can hold the line without getting pushed around. Now, if you're really looking for size, let's mention Deone Walker, because that man is gigantic. We're talking about someone who can change the line of scrimmage just by standing there. But here's the catch. There have been some character concerns tied to Walker, and if there's one thing this Raiders leadership has made crystal clear, they don't mess around with character issues. If a player's attitude, work ethic, or off-the-field behavior raises even a little red flag, he might not even make it onto their draft board. That's the same vibe we've seen with a few other prospects sliding down the draft. And it's something to watch closely today. Coming up next, we'll dive into even more names the Raiders could target, including a look at quarterbacks and the top talent still left on the board. All right, Raider Nation, let's jump right back into the action, because there's still some serious talent out there the Raiders should keep an eye on. First up, wide receiver. Even after grabbing Jack Beck, there's more room to add firepower to the offense. One name that stands out is Alec Ayomanor from Stanford. The Raiders have done their homework on him, and for good reason. Ayomanor brings exactly what the Raiders are looking for: toughness, smart football IQ, and serious heart. Yeah, there are some minor injury concerns, but when he's on the field, he plays with serious physicality. Exactly the type of grit the silver and black loves. He might not be the cleanest route runner yet, but think about this. He wouldn't have to come in and be the number one guy. Sliding into a wide receiver 3 or 4 role, he could develop at the right pace while making the team tougher and deeper, and this helps the Raiders even more. It lets explosive players like Tree Tucker shine where they do best, stretching the field, returning kicks, and turning small plays into highlight moments. Now let's shift gears to cornerback. Yes, the Raiders already grabbed Darian Porter, but there's still some need, especially at the nickel spot. Earlier, we mentioned Malachi Moore, a name to keep watching closely. But there were a few others the Raiders had on their radar. Players like Jacob Parrish and Caleb Ransaw were also on the list, both offering speed, instincts, and the attitude you need to survive in the NFL. Unfortunately, sometimes the board doesn't fall your way, and these players might not have slipped far enough. Still, the Raiders are clearly focused on adding smart, fast, physical defensive backs who can step in and contribute early. And that's exactly the energy the nation should be excited about. All right, Raider Nation, let's dive into the final stretch because there's still unfinished business in this draft. The focus right now? Nickel cornerbacks. The Raiders have quietly been doing their homework, and a few names have emerged from the pack. Quincy Riley is one of the more intriguing options. He might not have the biggest frame, but don't let that fool you. He's got fast feet, strong ball skills, and the toughness you want inside against shifty slot receivers. Sure, his run defense hasn't always been perfect, but the Raiders are clearly prioritizing quickness and instincts at the position. Riley fits that mold and could be a sneaky good addition late in the draft. Names like Kobe Bryant and Dorian Strong also surfaced in Raider meetings, but it's Riley's mix of experience and physicality that really feels like a fit for this defense. Now, switching gears, quarterback is still a storyline. Shockingly, Shadir Sanders remains on the board, but if you ask around, there's a growing sense that the Raiders might lean towards someone else, like Will Howard or Quinn Ewers, if they decide to add another arm. Remember, the Raiders spent a lot of their pre-draft time meeting quarterbacks. Names like Cam Miller were also on the radar, and while Miller might not be a draft pick, he could be a priority free agent target once the final round closes. Someone to throw into the mix, push the competition, and maybe even battle it out with Carter Bradley for a spot. All in all, the theme this year is clear. The Raiders are building smart, tough, high-character football players. They're moving with purpose, not reaching for headlines, but stacking the roster the right way. And if this energy keeps rolling, Raider Nation, it's about to be one exciting new era in Las Vegas.